I welcome you all to the revision series of the generic collective paper, The History of India from 1857 to 1947 CE. I'm happy to talk with you all with a very important topic of the syllabus, the Revolt of 1857. The incident of the Revolt of 1857 has a very special place in the Indian freedom struggle because for the first time the Indians were ready to fight against the oppression of the British. With this interesting topic, I am Michael Nithyn from Department of History, Sacred Heart College, Tirupattur. Welcome you all to this video lecture. 1857. The revolt of 1857 happened in the year 1857, which is a very crucial period in the British era. There are multiple causes which led to the revolt of 1857. A very important cause was the widespread uprising against the British rule that broke out in the North India. It is often referred as the First War of Independence, especially by V.D. Savarkar, who wrote a book called The First Indian War of Independence. The Vellore Mutiny of 1806 was debated to be the first war of independence. The Tamil historian Rajayan challenged in the court, stating that the Vellore Mutiny happened much before, even 51 years before the revolt of 1857, and he demanded to the court that Vellore Mutiny must be considered as the first war of independence. The British expansionist policies, economic exploitation, and administrative innovations are the major reasons for the revolt of 1857. The historians have a diversified view on whether it is first war of independence or not. Historians like Kai, Melson, Trevelyan, Lawrence have painted it as a mere mutiny. Mutiny in the sense it was only restricted within the army itself, and there was no support from the side of the people. It was described as a war against the Christians by view, but this is rejected by many modern historians because it was not only a war against the Christians, because the British does not represent themselves as Christians alone. They are the colonialists who came here not to rule Indians but to exploit Indians. First time it was the V.D. Savarkar who said the revolt of 1857 as the first war of independence. He even wrote a book called The Indian War of Independence. R.C. Majumdar and S.N. Sen are two authors who worked exhaustively on the revolt of 1857, and R.C. Majumdar argues it as a revolt with no national emotions. So here we must understand that India was previously ruled by Hindu dynasties who were later defeated by the Muslim invasions, especially Arabs, followed by the Turks and followed by Mughals. So when the British occupied India, the most important thing the India lacked was the India itself. R.C. Majumdar revolves around this point where he justifies that there is no nation at all to have national emotion. Asian Sen, on contrary, argues that yes, it is more than a mutiny. It is war of independence itself. Both these were very clear on one point. Yes, this was the first opposition against the British. The more important thing to study in the revolt of 1857 is the causes. There are multiple causes which led to the revolt of 1857. To understand whether it is a Indian War of Independence or just a mere mutiny as said by Essen and R.C. Majumdar, we must understand the nature of these causes. The first important cause was political cause. The British policies were based on effective control. So already we have discussed that. The Britishers are here to loot India and not to rule it. To loot India, to make India remain as a colony, the effective control philosophy is a much needed one. The policy of carrot and stick was utilized by the Britain. In this effective control, we need to discuss about two important policies. One is the doctrine of lapse and the other is a subsidiary alliance. Doctrine of lapse was introduced by Lord Dalhousie and subsidiary alliance was introduced by Lord Wellesley. Subsidiary alliance is nothing but a policy where Wellesley used the weakness of the Indian rulers. Let us take the ruler of Jhansi and Gwalior. When ruler of Jhansi had a strong military, British approached the ruler of Gwalior saying that Jhansi is your bordering town and it may attack you at any point of time. So to prevent yourself from these attacks, it is better to opt with subsidiary alliance. Subsidiary alliance is nothing but taking money or something equivalent to money. Let us say it may be a village, it may be a land, it may be a revenue quarter, whatever it may be. Taking money or something equivalent to money instead of an army support. Wellesley said that a particular army will be stationed in Gwalior, and if Jhansi wants to take an expedition on Gwalior, then it must overcome the British army. So this is subsidiary alliance. By subsidiary alliance, Lord Wellesley cleverly tackled both the Jhansi and the Gwalior itself. Doctrine of lapse is much more worse than subsidiary alliance because doctrine of lapse policy specially speaks about a situation where if ruler of Satara or Jhansi or Nagpur or Awadh, if this particular places does not have a ruler who comes from a bloodline of the previous ruler. Let us say if he is not the birth son of the previous ruler, and instead if a ruler adopts and makes him as the heir, this was not accepted by the British. And by doctrine of lapse, Dalhousie said that this province will be annexed with the British territory. Satara, Jhansi, Nagpur, and Awadh were main victims of doctrine of lapse. This led to a deep dissatisfaction and displaced royals such as Rani Lakshmibai, who is famously known as Manikarnika Tambe, and Nana Sahib, who later became the key leaders of the revolt. And another important political reason was the pension of Baji Rao II of Maratha was stopped, stating that the legal succession was not recognized by British. The another most important reason is absentee sovereignty. Though the British East India Company was ruling in India, technically it was under the indirect rule of the British, and this made the people feel that they were ruled by someone who is not present in their own country. In other words, they believe that someone alien is ruling them, and this does not made the people to understand that the British belonged to India, and instead they considered British as aliens. And thank you. We will end this video and we will continue in the part 2 in the next video. Thank you.